everyone, this is Kanishka Vaish from BA LLB second year from Law College Dehradun. Today I will be dealing with the topic of Ombudsman.
So here we begin with our presentation. The meaning of Ombudsman. This word Ombudsman came from a Scandinavian word. It means an officer or commissioner. The definition given by Veds on Ombudsman is a commissioner who has the duty of investigation and reporting to Parliament on citizens' complaints against government. अब इस डेफिनेशन का हम मतलब समझते हैं. इस डेफिनेशन का मतलब है कि एक ऐसा कमिश्नर, एक ऐसा ऑफिसर ये जो ओम्बड्समैन का सिस्टम है ये बना देगा जो कि लोगों के बीच में और गवर्नमेंट के बीच में एक ब्रिज का काम करेगा. दैट मीन्स कि अगर किसी पर्सन को कोई कंप्लेन है रिगार्डिंग एनी गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटी, सो दैट पर्सन कैन tell this person ombudsman, or ombudsman himself suo moto can take action and do investigation and report to the government regarding their complaints. What is the objective of ombudsman? So the very objective of this concept is to prevent misuse of power. As we know that in administrative law, when power is given to the executive department, there is a chance of misuse of power to a greater extent. That's why we have judicial control, parliamentary control, and legislative control on DL. So the misuse of power is not there. So ombudsman is another type of concept in which to prevent misuse of power by the departments or to punish departments for their wrongs, this concept is created. So now we come to the characteristics of ombudsman. Ombudsman is an independent person. He is an independent officer who is working for the society to decrease the corruption rate. He supervise administration. He prevent injustice and maladministration. Maladministration means that administration which is done in bad faith. He has powers to investigate, criticize, or report to the legislation. So the person, the ombudsman, he can investigate any of the offense against the public officer only. See, here's a concept which we need to understand is that if an offense is done against a individual, then the courts are present. In that point of time, ombudsman has no role to play. But whenever any wrong is done against any public officer, at that the public officer has committed any wrong, at that time investigation can be conducted by ombudsman. However, he cannot reverse administrative actions. The administrative actions which are done, he don't have any power to reverse them. Only he can investigate, criticize, or report them. Now we study the origin and development of ombudsman. This concept of ombudsman originated from a Scandinavian city in Sweden in 1809. At that time, ombudsman was given power to complain on public grievances. He can take suo moto action. Complaint can be done to him against two authorities, that is public officer and ministers. Then this concept came to Finland in 1919 and then to Denmark in 1953 and then further extended to Norway in 1963. In New Zealand in 1962, this concept originated and an act was made for the first time, that was Parliamentary Commissioner Ombudsman Act 1974. By this act, several powers were given to this ombudsman. Here, the concept was that there can be one or more than one ombudsman, a chief ombudsman, so that there is a control and regulation amongst the ombudsman. Here also, the ombudsman can take suo moto action. He was appointed by Governor General. can give relief, he also had power to give relief if any unjust and unreasonable or oppressive thing is done. PM sometimes took his advice to check on the administrative powers. He can make suitable recommendations to the parliament for the changes that he feels so. Then in England in 1969 this concept came, and this was called as Parliamentary Commissioner in England. Here in England, Parliamentary Commissioner Act 1967 was enacted in order to give power to this parliamentary commissioner. Ombudsman was called Parliamentary Commissioner in England, but cannot be directly to Ombudsman. It has to be by the way of member of the House of Commission. Now we come to the concept of Australia. Australia had this concept in two-tier form. One is at state level and another is at central level. Here also an act was created known as Australia Ombudsman Act 1976. Now we talk about the concept of ombudsman in India. In India, the word ombudsman was called as Lokpal, but it has not been established. In India, the concept of Lokpal was not established until 2013. However, there was a concept of Lokyutas in some states. Why we need this Lokpal concept in India? So, this concept was needed as administration is given wide powers or discretionary powers. It is very important to exercise a control or administrative power so they cannot misuse it. We have several control mechanisms, but this concept of ombudsman was introduced known as Lokpal in India to control the corruption in India. Now another point is, in this Lokpal, what happened was burden of proof is on the person who is alleging. But by the way of this Lokpal, the burden also shared by the ombudsman. How? I explain. See, whenever there is a wrong done, the common man has the burden to prove it to the court that the administration has done some wrong to him. Now the point is, does he have access to the documents of the administrative department? No, he does not. When he don't have access to the documents of administrative department, then what kind of proofs he can bring in relation to this? So this concept of Lokpal was a concept where he can have the access to the documents of the administrative department and share the burden of proof with that person. Now, judicial control hard for common men. So as we have studied in administrative law, that in DL especially, that there is a judicial control. But the point is that for common men, it is not possible that each and every person can approach judiciary. Now, we come to the development of Lokpal in India. So in 1996, there was a standard committee who presented a report to Parliament. But however, the Parliament was dissolved and this bill was also dissolved. In 1998, when the Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was there, he also presented this bill of Lokpal to Lok Sabha on August 2001. He again introduced this bill. However, this bill was left pending in Parliament. In this bill, he empowered to inquiry in the charges of corruption against public functionary, including Prime Minister himself. In this bill, he also introduced the composition of Lokpal, that will be chairman and 2 other members. The Lokpal will be appointed by the president, but this bill lapsed and could not be passed and enacted into act. Another bill was introduced regarding the Lokpal bill of 2011. It was passed by Lok Sabha, but it was lapsed in Rajya Sabha. Now we need to analyze the question of why this bill kept on lapsing and never came in the form of an act. Here are 2 points given by two persons. One is of Professor Tripathi. He said that ministerial responsibility should not be shared with another institution created by the way of Lokpal. And Justice Mukherjee said that this do not fit into the concept of constitution which we have, because there is no provision in our constitution. However, with the passage of time, people understood that Lokpal is the demand of time. So many states adopted the concept of Lok Yukta, like UP, Bihar, Himachal Pradesh, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Rajasthan. All these states adopted the concept of Lok Yukta. There was a conference held in Shimla in 1968 where the recommendation was made to enact this Lokpal bill. What were the recommendations? So now I'm reading out the recommendations to you. That this should be given a constitutional, that Lokpal should be given a constitutional status, number 1. Number 2, that ex-public officers and ministers, that this bill should also be applicable on ex-president of public officers and ministers. This means that the public officers and ministers who have retired from their job, this bill should be applicable on them. This bill wanted to deal with 3 concepts. One is corruption, maladministration, and grievances. It also recommended that every state should have Lokpal. There is Lok Yukta. And there should be no security deposit for the complaint to be filed by the private individual. It also recommended that Lokpal, the ombudsman person, should also be given power to seize any property, like in CRPC. Further, it also recommended that investigation power should be given to him suo motu. After all this, there was CVC enacted. This is Central Vigilance Commission. This Central Vigilance Commission was enacted to remove commission, and this was established by the recommendation of Sanathanam Committee in 1962. This was established in year 1964. This CVC is attached with Ministry of Home Affairs. This is an independent commission. It works for anti-corruption. There is a case, Vineet Narin versus Union of India. This case gave some directions for more efficiency of the working of CVC as well as CBI. Under the Act of Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, CVC was given statutory status by the CVC Act 2003. Then, in 2013, a change came, that was the Lokpal and Lok Yukta Act 2013. This act was enacted in 2013. This is an Anti-Corruption Act by Indian Parliament. This act commenced from 16th January 2014. It talked about establishing Lokpal at unions and Lokayukt for states. Superintendents over and give directions to CBI. However, there was some lacking in this act. Number 1, that this act gave no protection to whistleblowers. Whistleblowers are those persons who came forward to give any of the evidences or statements, but they never want their name to be disclosed. For example, if there is any act done by the officer, So that is reported by a person, but he don't want his name to be disclosed because he has a fear that that person can do some wrong to him. So this act gave no protection to them. This is the first lack of this act. The second act, this act had nothing about the composition of lokayuts at state levels. It also kept judiciary from outside. It also kept judiciary outside its scope. And the last effect is that no adequate provision to appeal against the Lokpal. That this act was again given supremacy. So here we understand this point that whenever any body is given supremacy and there is no power or person to control it, it can misuse its power. So this ombudsman is again given absolute power because there is no provision in this act which talk about appeal against the Lokpal bill. So these are some of the lacks of this bill, this act. So here we conclude this lecture, and thank you everyone for having so much of patience that you reached at the last slide of this lecture. Thank you so much.